Hey everyone, it's me Curtis. Today I'm going to be telling you guys and giving you guys a little bit of a story about my experience and personal opinions about keeping hamsters in the smallest or recommended minimum cage size. So right before we actually jump into that, I'm going to make a really quick announcement. I promise it'll be really quick. But as you guys know, I run an online pet shop, which the link to is always in the description of all my videos. But one of my most popular items is the lizard leash, but it's also used for other pets. You know, people use it for small animals and whatnot. I just wanted to let you guys know that recently, this video you guys are probably seeing on Sunday, so sometime late last week, I finally released a red leash. I have it right here. I had been running my shop for almost a year now, and this is one of my most popular products, and yet I don't even have one of the most basic and popular colors of it until now. So now you guys can find the red lizard leash, or really any kind of pet leash, on my shop. It's an option. It's finally available. I will actually have a video coming hopefully really soon in the future about a few new products that I also have coming in the near future. So the first thing that I'm going to be talking about in today's video is what is the bare minimum cage size for hamsters. So the bare minimum for hamsters is 450 square inches. And although a lot of people are probably going to instantly be like, wow, it's like a little bit of room, or some people might think, oh, that's too much room, that is actually an upgrade from what it used to be, which used to be 360 square inches. I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, so it definitely did increase, but it's still not quite enough that I personally think a hamster should have. Two really little quick disclaimers. I'm not coming for anyone or saying that like you're a horrible person if you keep your pet in 406 whoops. I'm not saying that anyone is a bad owner for keeping their hamster in 450 square inches, because that was literally me a month ago, pretty much. Sorry, my phone is going off. I just think that if you're open to trying new things and trying to give your hamster a bigger habitat, you will see that it will only benefit them in the long run. And the other little second disclaimer is that just because they say the bare minimum is 450 square inches, that does not mean that that is what, like the minimum amount of space that a hamster needs to be happy. That's pretty much, in my eyes, just like the bare minimum that they need for it to not kind of like be abuse. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Again, this is not any hate toward anyone who keeps hamsters in 450 square inches, because like I said, that was me not too long ago, but I think it's important to learn and be open to trying new things. I actually did just move my hamster into a brand new huge cage, so if you want to check the cage tour out, the video actually just came out a few days ago and you can check it out right up here. I really like the way it came out, and I think it can give you guys some inspiration and ideas as to what you can do for your hamster. So I think one of the biggest things that kind of helps people fight for the more natural side of things and give hamsters more space is to think about where they naturally come from in the wild. So hamsters actually come from, like Europe, Asia, or like Middle East area. So pretty much, obviously the Syrian hamster, Syria, they come from desert areas in the wild where there's a lot of flat surface area, a lot of running area where they can burrow, dig, and just exhibit all of their natural behaviors. I will add a picture right here on screen somewhere of what pretty much their habitat looks like in the wild, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. However, for some reason, people still think it's okay to keep their hamsters in cages like this, right here on screen. This is 2019. Another thing that I think it's important to remember is that every single hamster is going to be different. There are always going to be those people that say, oh no, I've kept my hamster in a 10 gallon and he's been happy, never tried to bite me, never tried to chew or do anything. And you know what? No one can sit there and tell them that they're lying, because that's not your hamster. However, it is still very unrealistic that a hamster is going to be happy in anything under 450 square inches, and possibly even 450 square inches itself. In all of my time owning hamsters, I've owned 3 hamsters, and they have all at least once lived in 450 square inches. My very first hamster, Gus, he lived in 450 square inches. And he was like the perfect hamster. He never showed any signs of boredom, at least to me, maybe because I was new to hamsters, I didn't really notice it, but I did so much research and I can guarantee that he never chewed on bars or anything. Like, he was very content with the size of his habitat. And then my next hamster, Jasper, after Gus, he as well, right, never really chewed on anything. He did do a bit more chewing than Gus, I will say, like on the lid of his extension, but it was nothing like what I'm about to say happened with Alfie. But as I've mentioned just now, my newest hamster, Alfie, forget it. Like, for the first 2 months that I've had him, I got him back in January, he was doing pretty good with, you know, just being a regular hamster. He was still growing. I don't know if I said that already, but he was very young when I got him, and he was still growing into his cage. But I want to say around a month ago or 2 months after I got Alfie, I noticed that his behavior started changing. So if you see my new video that I linked in a card earlier in this video, you know that obviously Alfie's in that big like DIY cage now, but before that, he was in the Sterilite Clearview 110 quart bin cage. This is a very, very popular bin cage for a lot of hamster and small pet rodent owners, I think is what I meant to say. And there's nothing wrong with the cage on the surface level. You know, it is the bare minimum size, and it's 450 square inches. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep my hamster in it. I've never had a problem with this cage in the past, and for the first 2-ish months that I've had Alfie, like I said, he was perfectly fine in it. Until I noticed that at night, I would hear like little tiny chewing noises. At first, it wasn't bad like at all. You know, I just be like, okay, it's nothing like him chewing on food. But pretty soon after, I realized that he wasn't just chewing on food, he wasn't just chewing on any of his toys, he was chewing on the plastic of his extension. Now, as I mentioned, he was in the 110 quart Sterilite bin, but he also had an extension on top of his cage, like a little loft area with the pull down thing. I have a video about it somewhere on my channel where you can watch it, see how the whole cage was. It was actually a really, really nice cage, but apparently it wasn't good enough for Alfie. So anyway, this chewing became more and more prevalent. Like, I have no problems with noise. I've been owning animals for years, and I've had, you know, aquarium filters running for a majority of those years. The filters don't bother me. The wheels of my hedgehog, mice, hamster, nothing bothers me really. The chewing, the scratching, nothing again bothers me. But for some reason, I like knew this was something different. This wasn't just like normal chewing. It was like very persistent, and I would even it was very constant. And when it started getting more constant, I realized that I would literally get up out of my bed to come to his cage, check on him, grab him from biting on his cage, and put him in the main level or main part of his cage, which was the actual big bin. This is why Alfie needs a bigger cage. He is bored and, you know, just doesn't have, he's being stressed out. And then I would just hope that I'd fall asleep before he got back to the loft and started chewing again. So after about a week and a half to 2 weeks of him doing that constant chewing, I remember one day I was up late and I had heard him chewing, and I was like, oh, like I'm not in bed, and I finally see him. Like, let me see what he's chewing on and kind of check everything out a little bit deeper. So this is when I realized that his whole snout or like nose was sticking out of the bottom of the bin, and granted the mesh of the lid of his actual bin cage was still there, so he couldn't just super easily come out. He'd still have to chew a little bit, and I think I have a picture of what it looked like. If I do, I will have a picture here on screen. As you guys can see, here's his extension, and right there you guys can see he chewed a hole through that. So that was like the first primary sign that I saw that he was kind of getting bored. So once I noticed the hole and I realized that this was a hazard that he could escape from, I just removed the extension and put my heavy bank of coins over the hole so that he would not be able to get out. So at this point, all he had was the 110 quart bin. I just thought that this would be the end of it. I didn't really think about why he'd be chewing. I just thought maybe, I don't know, he just liked chewing on the plastic. He didn't have more chew toys, so I gave him more chew toys and nothing worked. In fact, what he ended up resorting to was clinging onto the lid of his cage and biting on the bars. You guys pretty much know how bin cages are built. You know, usually people make a hole out of the lid or the sides, and they put hardware cloth or hardware mesh on it, which is just like metal wire essentially that's shaped into squares to prevent things from getting in or out. So once I took out his extension, which was the plastic for him to chew on, he began chewing on his lid. I thought the plastic was bad, guys, but the sound of a hamster chewing on metal bars is not. No. It is one of the worst noises I probably ever heard from an animal, and the fact that it's so constant and persistent is just like, it gets you frustrated because it's like, I don't know why you're chewing, you have a great cage, like why aren't you grateful? So clearly at this point I was still like take him out, put him in the cage, and he would just go back up, start chewing again. So I knew like he was bored. At this point I just came to the conclusion I knew he was bored and I knew he needed more room. There was nothing else I can do about it. I'm sure I've included a video thus far showing you guys him like walking on the lid, trying to find a way out, trying to bite his way out. But he also, I've gotten a few videos throughout the days that he's done it, and I'll put another one here. So essentially that is when I decided to move him into what used to be my hedgehog's cage, and I moved my hedgehog into a huge bin cage. But this video is not about him. I do have a tour that I just put up for that, which you can check out up here. However, that is when I knew he needed more space. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that although his cage was 450 square inches, it had a wheel, it had a hide, it was able to hold his food bowl, his water dish, his toys, and maybe not even everything I wanted to have, but at least his bare necessities. He was not happy with it, and he clearly needed more room. I would never put Alfie back into a tiny cage like that, because after moving him into this new cage, it has way more surface area. I think it has over 900 square inches of space. I can't like be grateful enough that I finally made this decision to move him into something more than double his space that he had. And I never like posted this really on my Instagram story or Twitter or YouTube or anything like that, because I didn't want people to, you know, quickly be like, oh, like what is going on? Oh, you need to give him a bigger cage. Because I knew what the issue was, but I needed to plan everything out, make sure everything was going to be okay for all of my pets. And I'm so glad that I finally moved him into this new cage, because he is acting way different, and he has not chewed on something excessively like that since. So that is my story with Alfie, and moving him from something that was the bare minimum cage size for hamsters to something that is pretty much more than double the size of that. How his behavior's changed, why he's not showing any signs of stress anymore, why he's actually coming out running on his wheel and just not acting like he's confined. I think that this can be really important for certain people who even have less than the bare minimum to really at least try and get a 110 quart bin. I think they're like $12 or $13, honestly. Alright, my camera battery just died, so I hope the frame is pretty close to what it was last time. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video. I'm feeling really good getting back into the swing of things and editing and posting more videos for you guys. But if you guys have been interested in today's video, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, which are just at Curtis Lasane, just like my channel name. I also run an Etsy shop called Curtis Lasane Pet Supplies, where I sell pet supplies for rodents, reptiles, birds, dogs, and more. So if you want to check that out, the links to that's always in the description of all of my videos. As I mentioned, I have a new leash available for you guys, and I actually did a recent restock on all of the other colors, so they are all available. You guys can subscribe to my channel to make sure that you do not miss any more of my future content, just like today's. I'm going to be posting more content hopefully soon and way more consistent for you guys. I have a lot of cool ideas, and you can also check out my hamster cage tour that I mentioned earlier on in the video if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.